Hello everyone and welcome to my leather goods making channel. Today we're making a simple leather pen case. This is a pattern I bought from Etsy. I will leave a link in the description if you want to buy it and try making one for yourself. It's an easy pattern with very little skill required, so if you're just starting out in leatherwork, it's very good, it's easy, and it only costs a couple of euros to buy. That being said, I'm in no way affiliated with the pattern designer and have not yet tried any of their other patterns, so buy at your own risk. If you're not into leather making and are just enjoying watching others create stuff out of leather, I also have something for you guys. If you like and want this pen case, subscribe and leave a comment in the description below for a chance to win it. The winner will be announced in next week's video. I'm not sure how this will work yet, but I will try and upload one video every Sunday, and whatever I make will be given to a randomly selected winner. I started leatherwork only 4 months ago. I am by no means an expert, and this is not a how-to video. I have left some channels in the description which I regularly watch to learn about leatherwork, so check those out for how-to videos. They're really good. Again, I feel like this is something I have to say because there's a lot of false advertising on YouTube. I'm in no way affiliated with any of them. Um, If you have any other leather channels that you like to watch, please leave that in the description. I'd love to check them out. As I said, I'm still learning and could use the extra guidance sometimes. Now, let's get into this project for today. So, as I said, this is a pen holder. It's great for your fancy fountain pens. I'm using Badalassi Carlo Pueblo leather. Apologies if I've butchered that. I'm not Italian, I'm not quite sure how to pronounce it. The color is tobacco. If you want to buy some, again, I'll leave some links in the description. Um, I'm in no way affiliated with any of these places, but I've chose this leather because it produces a beautiful patina. It's world renowned for its beautiful patina. If you don't know what patina is, then let me explain. It's created with friction over the use of the wallet or the pen holder in this case that you have, but it's easier to see with something like a wallet because it's in your back pocket. Friction is created from grabbing it, putting it back in, etc., and it creates these dark spots of shiny, darker leather. And admittedly, it doesn't sound like something you'd want, but it's absolutely beautiful when you see it on a piece of leather, and this leather is world renowned for the beautiful patina it creates. So I'm using this pattern. You might be wondering why I've cut out parts of the center of the pattern. Those are not meant to be cut out. I've just cut them out in order to assist with the taping of the pattern onto the leather. This is a technique I learned from, not quite sure which leather channel that I watch. This was featured in, but yeah, it's a nice technique. I probably should have used here thicker tape. The specific tape I used is leather tape. It's not great. Does the job, but I think if I would use something like masking tape, for like, that painter's tape or something like that, um, it would work better with covering the whole of the slot I cut out. However, I don't know if that would damage the leather, but it's something I'll try and let you guys know in next week's video. So yeah, so here I'm cutting out the pattern. Admittedly, this is something I really struggle with. Although I've been doing leatherwork for like 4 months now, I really struggle with cutting straight lines and tracing a pattern. If you have any tips or suggestions, feel free to let me know. I know I'm not doing the best job here, and yeah, as you can tell, I'm holding it down with my fingers, twisting it, moving it around. I tried using a scratch roll, many people do. It doesn't always work great for me, especially on this kind of leather. I feel like it's not as easy to scratch it and leave a pattern on. So yeah, so here I've cut them out. I'm about to glue them. The reason I'm gluing them is so that I can make sure they're the same size before I start to sand it down. So the glue I'm using is, I believe it was Ecoflum, if I'm not mistaken. And sorry, the label's gone. I managed to drop some ink on it when I was trying to dye something, so I had to wash it, and this is what it looks like now. But yeah, it's a great glue if you're a beginner. It lends to making mistakes. You can easily glue and unglue what you created. I feel like with some of the stronger glues out there, I mean, if you make a mistake, you're really trying to pull two pieces of leather that are stuck solid together, and you're sometimes destroying the grain. With this one, you can pull them apart and they'll be fine. And you can glue them many times, but every time you try to glue it again, you have to add more glue. One of the things I would say, and I learned this the hard way, is always glue on a piece of paper, not on your cutting mat, because you will get glue on the cutting mat and it is impossible to get out of. Although this glue's pretty good, the only issue is if you get it on your clothes, it's impossible to remove. But on any other hard surface, you just let it dry and you can just peel it off with your finger. It's amazing. So yeah, so I've glued them together. As you can see, I'm sanding. The better your cutting skills are, the less sanding you're gonna have to do. But keep in mind there is a fair bit of sanding. Apologies for the bad angles in filming. It's my first time filming, and pretty sure I could have done a better job. But yeah, as you can tell, my iPhone is on top of what I'm filming, and I'm using a stand. It's not great. It's a bit too close maybe to the video. I'm not sure. Um, it's also attached to the table, so when I shake it, I'm doing leather work and I shake the table accidentally, it also moves, as you can see in this frame. If you guys have any suggestions on how to fix this, please do let me know in the description, or have any suggestions on filming rigs. Any help would be much appreciated. So yeah, so right now I'm beveling it. Beveling means removing the edge of the leather. This is because if you try to sand it too much, especially with very thin leather, and this is very thin leather, this is 0.8 millimeters, and that's a number two. So I need to buy a smaller bevel because that one is for around 1.2 millimeter thickness. Or so in this case, I'm using one that's a bit bigger than it should be. Um, but I feel like it does the job. It's quite good. I do need to buy a better one, a higher quality one. This one's just off Amazon. If you guys have any suggestions on bevelers for less than 1 millimeter thickness leather, please do let me know. These tools can get expensive. I mean, a high quality one can set you back anywhere between 50 and 100 euros, pounds, dollars, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, it removes the corner of the leather and allows you to then, when you're sanding, the edge of your leather doesn't crease over or bend over. But if you're using the wrong beveler, you can actually destroy the edge completely, and that's happened quite a few times with me. In this case, because I've stuck two pieces of leather together, it is possible to use the level 2 beveler and get away with it. So here I'm sanding it. There's a lot of sanding involved. Uh, Even if you do get a better cut, there is a lot of sanding involved, especially if you then want to edge paint. Today I'm not edge painting, I am going to be burnishing. So here, so I made a mistake. I forgot to sand that top part. I sped the video up a bit here. There's a lot of sanding involved and a bit of cutting, but basically I forgot that top edge. So one of the things I'd say is before you start, take a note where you need to sand, where you need to bevel, where you need to burnish so that you don't get gluing. But anyway, it was fine. As I said, this glue's great. You can unglue stuff really easily. So this is what I did. I unglued it and now I'm burnishing. I'm using Tokonol. I think it's one of the best things you can use. Super easy. I believe it's also eco-friendly because it's made of some vegetable. I'm not quite sure. Don't quote me on that one. But it's really easy to use, non-toxic, and creates a perfect burnished edge. Because normally you'd use a wood slicker, and the wood slicker allows you to create that patina on the edge, that burnishing. You can do it with water. I've tried it. It works, but you got to be a lot more patient. You may end up burning the leather with Tokonol. Super quick, super fast. It closes down the grains as well, so it's just awesome. And I mean, I bought a tub of it um, when I first started 4 months ago, and I've used like a tenth of it, so it'll last you ages. Little can go a long way. So yeah, so here I am. I'm gluing it back together. Again, glue is really only there to hold it together for your stitches and your stitch line, so that you can easily get it stitched up without having any issues of it getting unglued or moving while you're trying to stitch it. So here I'm again adding Tokonol. I'm burnishing the edges. The more you burnish, the better it looks. Like, can't stress this enough. You could burnish all day, literally all day, and the more you do it, the nicer it looks and the darker it gets. You can also try to burnish the specific leather by causing friction on it in different parts, like in the center. But I just like to leave it and allow it to get its own natural patina based on use, where you're putting more pressure when you're using it and all that, rather than doing it artificially. But burnishing's great. It seals up the leather, it keeps it nice, prevents damage, etc., etc., etc. I would say you want to avoid though getting Tokonol on the top side of the leather. It can leave a mark, which is something you'd want to avoid. So try to put enough Tokonol, but not too much. I would say put a little, burnish, see how you get on, put some more. As you can see, I'm putting again and again, but I'm only putting little amounts. Otherwise, your wood slicker will fill up with Tokonol because the leather can absorb it, and then you get it on different parts. So here I'm done with my burnishing. As you can tell, I've sped it up a little bit. This will take you a long time. Like, I think this pen case holder took me around 2 hours to make. So yeah, at this point I am scratching the leather on top because I'm gonna glue the pen holder on top of it, the little piece of leather that's gonna hold the flap. Again, here I forgot to burnish it. So again, as I said, don't make the same mistake. Remember to check what you need to burnish and burnish before you glue. But it was fine, it worked out. I used the small end of the leather wood slicker and it was fine. The reason I scratched the top of the leather is that it creates a better bond for the glue to stick. So now that I've glued that and it's the right size, now I'm using my wing dividers. Don't ask me where I set them to. I only have one. I need to buy another one, so I move them around. Yeah, I'd say anywhere between 1 and 1.5 centimeters though. It varies depending on what I go for at the time. I tend to try different sizes and go with what looks better in the individual project. So here I'm using diamond chisel set. This is a cheap one I bought off Amazon. It's not very good. It's quite shit in my opinion. It's great for starting. But what I have done is I have polished it so that looks and works better. I have bought more expensive ones from KS Blade. Again, not affiliated, but I can't say enough good things about it. It's super smooth, makes a tiny hole. It's not a diamond one. It's what would you call it? It makes slits, um, which are close to invisible, so it's great. The only issue with it is they're quite expensive. I think I paid 120 for mine, shipped and landed in France where I live. And it's great, but I only bought the 5 prong one. And when you're making um, leather goods that have a curved edge like this one, you need to use the 2 prong one, and do not go with you can't go with using a diamond and a slit one together. It looks horrible. Your stitching will look all wrong, so you got to go with the same look. So until I buy a more the expensive 2 prong one from KS Blade, I'm using this for projects like this. So yeah, as you can see, I used the diamond ones. I used a piece of plastic. I think it's like PVC plastic. I don't know what it would be called, but basically it's so that I can hammer into it and it doesn't damage the prongs, and I also don't damage my mat. I'm referring to that white one. I also use a piece of cheap, thick leather. I feel like um, it's better to have one of those in between you and the plastic mat. Here I started stitching. As you can see, I am started stitching before without using a stitching pony. It works super slow, super hard, just not worth it. I did it for a few months. Don't do it. Don't do it. Can't stress it enough. Don't do it. Get a stitching pony. They're cheap, and honestly, it's one of the top things on your list that you should buy when starting out in leatherwork. I don't know how to say it. It's just essential. It saves you so much time, neck pain, etc., etc. This is a really cheap one. You can get them off Amazon in the UK for like less than £20. I'm sure you can get them in the States and in Europe. Yeah, it's really easy. It basically holds your leather piece of work that you're doing, so you can stitch and move your needles around. Um, I'm using 0.6 uh, brown thread. Can't remember what brand it is right now, but I'll leave that link in the description if you guys want to buy it. It's good. It's not amazing. I tend to have an issue that when I pass the needle through the, the thread so that it locks up, it sometimes breaks. Maybe it's not the thread, maybe it's just me. Feel free to let me know in the description. This is polyester thread. It is unwaxed, so I buy some wax and just wax it. I mean, the wax is super cheap. It's like I bought it for like €3, like a whole. It's like a knob of butter, sized beeswax, and it just works great. So yeah, this is saddleback stitching. You basically need one piece of thread with a needle stuck to either end, and you pass one over the other. I can leave, I think, a link in the description for where you can see a tutorial. What I'm doing right now is sped up. It's not a tutorial. I'm not amazing at doing this. I mean, I can do it. It takes me a while, but yeah, I wouldn't use this as a tutorial to go by. And again, apologies for the camera. I kept bumping into it while I was pulling my strings. And as you saw, that was the knob of butter slash beeswax that I use for waxing my thread. I use polyester thread simply because I think it really looks nicer. It doesn't wear. You get to have a little bit of wear when you're stitching. Um, and polyester, you can burn the edges off, and it just seals on top of itself. With linen or wool thread, you end up having to glue it. So here I'm done. I sped it up. What I would say is hammer down your thread. It makes it look a lot nicer. I'm showing you how to do it here. I'm not actually doing it for real. I wanted to avoid the shaking of the table, but that is a representation of how you should do it. Basically, hammer down the thread, not too hard, lightly, just to get it flat and smooth. So, yep, here it is, guys. Pen, that's a Montblanc ballpoint pen, one of my favorites. Again, not an affiliated brand. And here, it closes nicely. And I think it looks great. And you can get a lot of use of it. So if you want to win this, like and subscribe and leave a comment. And next week I will let you know who's won.